thoughts, and opinions expressed by the journalists and guests are solely that of the journalists and guests and do not reflect the views, opinion, policies, or positions of Positive Lifestyle Management.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, men and women all around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Blueprint Reveal. I'm your brother Fiji,
I'm your brother Blalen.
and today we're going to dive back into the Blueprint Reveal. As you all know, we had taken a little hiatus due to covering other matters and dealing with other situations, but we are back now, and I want to thank all the great men and women of this organization who stood up and stood for right. When you stand for right, man, you standing in the vision of our honorable concept. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we're gonna be on the awakening. We're gonna be dealing with the awakening today, and we're gonna start out. If you have the Rod Emery version of the blueprint, we're going to start on page 36. And if you have the blueprint of a new concept version, we're going to start on page 34. All right, brother Blalen, let's dive up in this one here, bro. We got a lot of work to do today, bro. We're going to be here, so let's
Yeah,
get this
we got a little
job done.
something going on.
Okay. It says, let's get this up here. It says, the awakening. We're in chapter 4, the awakening. A new concept. Our new concept contains a rare exposure of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that can change the way we think by revealing a truth of which we were unaware. By utilizing our new concept, we can move to new horizons, herefore unimaginable. The new concept is slowly but firmly molding our lives into a network of principles and rules for the guidance and appraisal of our conduct. In the least, we are being fused into a morality, a conscious effort to do what is right and in accordance with our teachings. We are fast becoming a working, thinking, and planning group of peoples with common goals that unites us around an ideological concept of ourselves called organization. Would you like to elaborate on that, my brother?
Yeah, well, okay. Well, first, I want to go back to something. It says, in the least, we are being fused into morality, a conscious effort to do what is right and in accordance with our teachings. That first stood out to me. It says, in the least. That means at the bare minimum of what we're doing.
Exactly.
At
The
our
bare
very,
minimum.
yes, at our very bare minimum, we are being fused into morality. The morality being the laws of existence, the principles of growth and development.
The universal laws of existence?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the conscious effort or our initiative, for lack of a better word, is to do what is right in accordance with our teachings. Everything that we do at the bare minimum of our existence is based on those things. And through that, we are fast becoming a working, thinking, and planning group of people with common goals that unite us around the ideological concept of ourselves called organization. Now, at this point, the question becomes, what is the definition of ideological, right?
So let's find out what ideological is.
Well, I have looked it up.
Okay, then. That's what I'm talking about. Proper preparations, then, right?
Yes, sir. It prevents poor performance.
Okay.
And the definition from the Oxford language the word means a system of ideas and ideals, especially ones which forms the basis of economic or political theory and policy. Now,
Okay. Let's break that down in layman's terms so our audience can understand what has just been read and understood.
okay, and to make it simple, what it's saying is it's the idea of things being done in an economical and political fashion. It is the ability to comprehend what's going on with you and around you in an economical, which is an exchange of currency flows and finances, and politically, which is a form of government.
Okay, so now
Uh huh.
it says called organization being right.
Yep.
That's what it's called, right? So now we
That's
got
what
to
it's
go
called.
back to one thing then, right? We got to go back to one thing, right?
That one thing being a definition of organization.
The one thing being the definition of organization, because you say that ideological, uh, the definition ideological means dealing with economics and politics, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it says an organization is a unified and consolidated group of people with an executive structure that deals with the well-beings of all its peoples. It's an executive structure of business and enterprise for individual, group, and collective acceleration of the body as a whole. So it
Mm.
talk to me. So
Now, I heard something in that definition. Forgive me for cutting you off,
mhm,
but it said business and enterprise, right?
yes,
Okay, we know that business and economics coexist.
yes. Business and
And
economics, exactly.
so now look at the word enterprise because I'm not familiar with what that word means.
Okay, there you go. Oh, then what do we do then?
We looked that word up.
An enterprise refers to an organization, typically a corporation involved in commercial, industrial, or professional activities. It comprises multiple entities, such as divisions, departments, and subsidiaries, and is managed by a board of directors or an executive leadership team. Talk to me.
Bro, at this point, I'm at a loss of words. It couldn't have been made no simpler than that.
So it explains to you what an organization is. It
Yes.
explains just to define what ideological mean, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now you see how all this tied back in up under a common sense approach
Absolutely.
that you cannot understand this. You would never be able to understand this without understanding where that come from.
Um, this concept was written to prepare us for the economical and political realities of Black America.
Yes. And that's what it says. Our governing body has decided to take on a new concept of organization, a concept that will bring us into the 80s and prepare us for political and economical realities of Black America.
And now considering that with the definition of ideological,
Yes.
it ties right in. Like you
Yes.
can't separate the two.
No. No, you
So
cannot.
without an economical understanding and a political understanding of what needs to be done, there can be no growth and development.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
And
not.
in order to have an economical understanding, that requires education.
Exactly.
In order to have a political understanding, you must be aware of social development.
Yes. You can't have one without the other. That's why it's education, economical, political, and social development. That's why it's that you cannot have one without the other. Why is education first? Because it don't matter how much money you get, how economically sound you are, if you're not educated to understand what to do with your finances, you're gonna lose them anyway.
A fool and his money should soon depart.
So now, once you get your economics, now you can start focusing politically. You know why?
Why that?
What do you think the Rockefellers and the DuPonts, the Gettys and the Rothschilds care about who's in play long as they can get what they want?
Was the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers that said, "Give me control of a nation's currency, and I can care less who make the laws."
Man, you better say it. That's in the book. I read it in Tex Mars' book. One of Tex Mars' books is called Circle of Intrigue. That's why I read that statement. They don't care about that. You can put whoever you want to put in political play. Because if I control the currency, then I'm gonna control the person that's in play. How you
Uh,
think the United States and all these superpower countries, what they do to smaller countries? They starve them out economically. Once they starve them
fact.
out economically, they go in and take over politically. They starve them out.
That's what they
If you
did to
don't
Libya.
control your politics, if you're not educated enough in order to know what to do with your economics, then your politics don't matter. Your social development don't matter. Because if your politics is off kilt, it's not up to par, that means now that your social development is going to be in the tank as well. You know,
Mm. Thereby making your country a third world country, as they called it.
oh yeah, and they're or making your neighborhood a third world, or making your community a third world community.
Mm. So that explains why the black community, as we call it, looks so deprived.
Exactly, because
It's been
we don't
it's been
control
socially
nothing
neglected.
in there. Right. Look at the education in the community. Look at the economics of the community. Look at the
Now I'm about to get into
politics
that
of the community. Look at the social development of
economically,
that
right?
community.
Because we don't own any of the stores in the black community, right? As an example. So if we don't own these stores, when we go in there and buy product, that money is being taken out of our community. So now we're being economically starved because
Yes.
that money's not going back in the community. So if it's not circulating in the community, it's nowhere we can use our money or our economy to back anybody politically in our community.
True.
So if we can't financially back anybody in our community, now our community gets socially neglected,
Yes.
which in turn takes away from the educational process because if there's no social development in the community, there can be no educational development.
So now that goes all the way back around. It's a 360-degree cycle circle, man. It keeps going around and
Mm.
around and around and around. However, the primary task of our new concept is awareness. With this, we can arm ourselves with the knowledge of what we need, why we need it, and how we can acquire it. Preparedness. This is a large part of our struggle. We must prepare our own alternative to save ourselves and our brothers from being trapped in situations such as penal warehouses without a purpose or mission in life. Destructive behavior, death, and incarceration have been the most widely used exit from our frustration. We must begin to prepare other exits. If we do not prepare our own alternatives to save ourselves, we will continue to be shuffled in and out of grim circumstances such as these human warehouses. Who? Anyone who supports or condones the systematic warehousing and destruction of our peoples is in essence an enemy. By allowing themselves to become tools of the system, these peoples perpetuate it and its inherent evils. Liberals are just as guilty as the extreme right because by tolerating these injustices, by adjusting to society's discrimination and by simply remaining silent. They compromise their own integrity and allow the evils of the system to endure. What, however, more important than knowing who the enemy is knowing what the enemy is. Illiteracy is our number one enemy. Our lack of education has been designed by the system with specific intent to keep us unaware of our true potentials. APWW, awareness, preparedness. Who is the enemy? What is the enemy? Awareness. The proper knowledge for our purpose is an invaluable asset to our success. Yet many of us are still in the dark or unsure what is proper knowledge for our purpose. Let's elaborate on that.
Yeah. Being that I'm going back to the first part about awareness, where it says, with this, we can arm ourselves with the knowledge of what we need, why we need it, and how we can acquire it, right? Now, the the knowledge that we need, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the knowledge for our purpose, right? Our purpose is growth and development. That's our purpose. So my question now becomes, that knowledge of growth and development will go back to it, dealing with education, economical, political, and social development. Is that the right context to receive that in, or am I missing something?
Okay, you're talking about knowledge, the proper knowledge for our purpose, right?
Yes,
What is knowledge?
the ability to grow and develop through study, observation, and application.
Okay, so that's what we need in order for us to grow and develop, for us to fulfill our growth and development. Without it, then we will not fulfill it. However, if we go on and finish what it was going to be explained to us what this proper knowledge is. Some of us are still chasing the ghost of Donna Gorn, never becoming aware of the fact that proper knowledge is knowledge that is designed to rebuild lasting bridges between us and our communities. The proper knowledge of our purpose is that which helps us to fully understand just how these bridges came to be destroyed in the first place. So we trying to reunite with ourselves and the community. We trying to rebuild ourselves and rebuild our love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding within the community. How the community to come back to us as we go towards the community.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
Because this is what I'm gathering at this point. All right, we're rebuilding ourselves. This goes back to the ideological concept of ourselves called organization. As individuals, we are rebuilding ourselves based on love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And once we have rebuilt ourselves through those universal laws of existence and those universal principles of growth and development, we now extend that to the community and rebuild the community through education, economical, political, and social development.
Yes. 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 Exactly. So that takes us
Okay.
back to when we initially started speaking about.
Okay.
Awareness of ourselves and our true condition is essential to the success of our new concept. Awareness awakens us to the fact that we must cease fooling ourselves that we are living our own lives, whereas for the most part, our lives are being lived for us by forces which we are unaware, of which we often do not understand, and of which we have very little control. Ooh. Ooh. Mm.
So those forces, right,
Mm.
will be the ones that govern the systematic warehousing of our community.
the systematic warehousing and destruction that controls the education, economic, political, and social development within our community. Those are the ones. That's where it's at, bro.
So that would mean that through our ignorance or illiteracy, we're allowing our enemy to actually dictate our life for us.
True. Because they controlling our education, they controlling our economics, they controlling our politics, and they controlling our social development. They by them controlling all of that, they are
Mm-hmm.
controlling our growth and development. Basically they controlling to the fact that our growth and development is truly being stagnated.
So this would give insight to why our communities are in the cycle that they're in. Each generation repeating the same mistakes of the last generation.
What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Now look at our community. It's been doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and our community is getting worse, 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 worse. As your mental health get worse or it starts setting in, you start seeing the effects in that person, right?
Yes.
Person go down more, 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 and more to the point now where that person is a shell of themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing that you're talking about within our community. Our community has become a shell of itself, or it's fast becoming a shell of itself. For example, our past lifestyles were only a reaction to an environmental condition, the ghetto. The ghetto, with its overcrowdedness and unending insanity, provides an enticing place for crime of all sorts. The ghetto throws desperate and unhappy peoples into an unbearable closeness, thereby increasing potential friction, giving birth to never ending quarrels of accusation and vindictiveness, which produces gang banging personalities. Black on black crime is on the rise. Drug addiction is an epidemic. Incurable diseases such as AIDS and herpes have become common, and chaos is everywhere. While all of the above is going on, we are forced to witness the controllers of this land being caught in lies of fraud and deceit, biocides, the destruction of our children, fratricide, brothers killing brothers, homicide and genocides, the total destruction of a race of peoples, a race or group of peoples has become the order of the day. The ghetto concentrates these pressures and tensions and inject them into our individual personalities, causing most of us to become opportunistic, parasitic, and exploiters of our own kind.
That just described in 2 words self-destruction.
Ain't that's the song that KIS1 them made back in the 80s? Self-destruction. We headed for
Get headed for
self-destruction.
self-destruction. Yep.
Yes. Yes. So everything that the questions that you was about to ask, once we
Mm-hmm.
keep reading, once we keep going, those questions are going to be answered. That's why it is important for all men and women, all brothers and sisters to read and to study. To read it, study it. You're gonna get it, it's gonna break it down in a comprehensive dialogue so that everybody can understand it.
That's fact. That gang banging
Now,
personality caught my eye. And it caught my eye because
yes.
I look at society today and I noticed, okay, what I know to be gang banging, for example, was you had this set or this clique or this crew versus this set, this clique, this crew. And all of them rep the same thing. That's a gang banging mentality. But as I'm looking at the word gang banging personality, that's not about a set or a crew or a clique. That's more so of a personality of being renegades against anything and everything, being opposed to anything and everything. It's not about, oh, I represent this or I represent that. It's like, okay, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't like this, so I'm against it automatically, even if it makes no sense of why I'm against it.
The syndrome orientation of negativism, meaning an attitude or system of thoughts characterized by doubts and question rather than approval and acceptance. An attitude characterized by ignoring, resisting, or opposing suggestions and orders coming from people that are in a position of authority. That's what you just described, bro.
Hmm.
That's what you just described. You cannot understand this without understanding this. You got to understand it because it's going to take you right back to it.
Okay. Okay. See, it is what it is. Got to accept the truth and the facts of it. Yes, sir.
Because of this, one can clearly see why we have not been in control of our destiny. By plugging in to our new concept and its inherent program of awareness, we can gain a clear grasp on our problems and a more intelligent understanding on how to solve them. In this manner, awareness not only help us to survive as an organization, but it allows us to hold fast and steady during these times of change. It allows us to grow, to develop, and to gain mastery over our destiny.
Hold up. Okay, so first, plugging into the
We
new
got to
concept, right?
plug it into it.
All
What
right.
is the new concept?
Growth and development.
Okay, so now in order to grow and develop, we got to be able to accept all the teachings, laws, and policies that comes with it, right?
Yep.
Ain't this part of the teachings?
Yes, it is.
So the
But now,
black and white ain't the black and white part of the teachings?
yes, it is.
Ain't that's the laws and the policies that governs us?
Yep.
That's when you plugged into the. That's when you plugged in, bro. Is at that point. That's when you are plugged in.
Okay, so now this brings me to something, right? Because in dealing with the awareness and plugging into the new concept, it carries me back to the ideological concept of ourselves called organization. Now, as, as an individual, right now in the moment, right?
Yes.
The concept of organization will then be me structuring my life and prioritizing my life based on love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Those things will become the executive structure that governs my ABAs, my action, behavior, and attitude. This allows me to look at myself, analyze myself, and see my personality traits, my personality flaws, what I need to improve about myself, what I need to change about myself, what my strengths are, and what I should exercise more about myself. That's what I'm gaining at this stage when studying and reading this. Now, if I'm off point, correct me, because wouldn't that be how we gain mastery over our own destiny?
True. So now when we talking about destiny as well, are we just talking about our individual destiny or are we talking about the overall destiny?
It
Because
would be the
most
overall
people,
destiny.
the overall destiny dealing with us as an organization and us as a community. All organizations gaining mastery over their destiny. That means every organization.
So let's use that for example. Every organization. So if the Crips gain mastery over their destiny, the Bloods, the Stones, the Lords, us as growth and development, even the black fraternities and sororities, if we as individual organizations gain mastery over our destiny and then come together as a collective for the acceleration of the community as a whole, then we can begin to fulfill the vision in its totality.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
All them organizations you just named, right?
Right?
What's the difference in them?
Outside of a name and a concept or philosophy, nothing.
Okay, watch this here.
Uh-huh.
It ain't even a concept or a philosophy, right? Because
Right?
their concept is the same concept that we have. Their philosophy is the same philosophy that we have. The only
Mm-hmm.
difference besides that name is the wording, how we wording the concept, how we wording the philosophy, the different wordings. So when we using different wordings, we thinking that we are different. But when in reality, you can use a different word that has the exact same meaning.
Would that go back to having a game banging personality or mentality if you do that?
Yes, that's a
To where
game banger's personality.
okay, now this triggered a thought in my head, right? Because I work at the airport, right? And people at the airport speak a variety of languages. And people that don't speak that language often get offended when it's spoken around them because they don't understand it. They're using different words to say some of the same things.
Exactly.
So they begin to either talk down to people speaking a different language, get an attitude towards a person with a different language, reject whatever they could be saying, even if they don't know or don't understand, because they think it's something
Right.
different. So that would mean even in the American society as a whole, without organizations, we still possess that gang banging personality.
Exactly.
So that's a systematic programming, and if that's the case,
True.
now
That's
that
how.
carries me back to something else. Forgive me because I'm my brain working right now. So if this is a systematic programming given to us, and then you put us in a confined area to where we don't experience anything outside of our immediate interaction, we then take that programming and implement it on each other. And once we isolate it to ourselves, that opens the door for the media or the politicians or whoever it may be to say this community is like this, or this community is infatuated with gang violence, or whatever the case may be. When in all actuality, that's the American system programming. But because we don't venture outside of our own community to see the world in a bigger spectrum, we don't recognize that.
We are about to get to the good part. All of it's
Mm-hmm.
good. But this instance right here in awareness is going to help us see and understand exactly where we at. And it
Yeah.
reads, in prison, as well as in free society, we are surrounded by fools, degenerates, and phonies. Fools, degenerates, and phonies.
Absolutely.
Now, we all know what a fool is. But what is a degenerate?
Mm.
A
That's a good question.
degenerate. A degenerate is having low standards of behavior. So that means your behavior is of low standards. And if your behavior is of below standards, that means that you suffering from self-control, discipline.
That would be a lack of self-discipline.
Right. You don't have no discipline.
That leads me to something, right? Because if a person lacks self-discipline or has low standards, right? Then that's a direct contradiction of what's written on page 34, which is in concerns of the awakening. The second paragraph that says the new concept is slowly but firmly molding our lives into a network of principles and rules for the guidance and appraisal of our conduct. That sentence right there is a sentence that deals with having standards and morals.
Okay.
So if you follow the principles of growth and development or the universal laws of existence, that will make it impossible for you to be a degenerate.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
Which
Because
is
you
crazy
following.
because now that I said that out loud, it makes me consider the fact that if a person, as an example, claims to be a member of this organization that is growth and development, and they live a degenerate lifestyle, then that means that they're not living by the 6 universal laws of existence or the 6 principles of growth and development. So that would in turn make them a phony.
Not real. Fake.
Yeah.
Fake jewelry. Fake news. Slum.
Yes. That would be a manipulator and an
Knockoff.
agent provocateur.
Yeah. So if you keep it on the level that people can understand it, they knockoffs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got on some knockoff Louis.
Them what they call them bootleg Jordans.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not real. You're not real. Now, he said, we suffer a constant bombardment of nonsense from all sides. 24 hours a day, our senses must endure the shock of these attacks from the lunatic fringe. The lunatic fringe. What is the
Okay.
fringe, though? Okay, we know what a lunatic is, but what is the fringe?
Okay. Now, a fringe, according to the dictionary, is a group of people whose beliefs place them on the outskirts of a social group.
So that means you basically, if your belief, if it's not in line with the new concept, that means that you part of that lunatic fringe.
Absolutely. You would be an
Okay.
outcast, an outlaw,
Yeah. Okay.
a renegade.
Okay. All right.
24 hours a day, right?
Yes.
Our senses must endure the shock of these attacks. That makes me think about something. And when this was written back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? The internet wasn't popping like that. But now in today's society, you have total access to all types of foolishness, all types of negative information, all types of negative videos. Even if you're not
So
trying to
just
follow it.
look at social media. Look
Yes.
at it. Look at social media.
Even if you don't want to see it, it comes across your timeline. So that's literally 24
And it
hours a
became
day.
very. So let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
When I came home
Mm-hmm.
in 20, we was during the pandemic. And so that's when a lot of people's got to expressing themselves across social media because they couldn't come out. So they was
Right.
in. So they started using social media a lot then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they was expressing their personal beliefs. They was expressing their mental, they was having mental and emotional breakdowns and everything, right?
Yep.
So this is what I come home to. This is what a lot of us come home to. Seeing people's just, it was new to me to see that, damn, Y'all discussing y'all family business all out on here, y'all personal family business. How you feel about your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, your mother, your father? You know,
Mm-hmm.
every thought that came to your mind, it became you putting it on social media.
Yep.
So then let's look at it this way: the mislead and the misguide and in the teachings of the new concept wasn't being done accordingly. So now you got your agent provocateurs, you got your infiltrators, you got those who didn't know what the hell they was talking about out here leading a bunch of peoples who didn't even have an understanding of nothing.
Degenerates.
Mm, mm. Okay.
Social media gave degenerates and phonies a platform to appear to be normal.
And then anybody can be that somebody when it's on a phone or
Yes,
social media. You taking a picture, you hiding it, you doing a video, you sounding intelligent, you sounding smart, but all the time you a fool, a degenerate, and a phony.
yep,
And then it takes is those who are for the community and those who are for the people to start exposing you for who you are.
absolutely.
Hmm. Most of us want to resist this madness, but do not know how we should go about doing it. We are aware of it, but confused by it because we allow ourselves to get caught up in it. Ho, 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 ho,
We were
ho.
just talking about that.
We aware of it. So, but we allow ourselves to get caught up in it. So a lot of times we know that this is some BS, but
Mm-hmm.
still we allow ourselves to get caught up in the same nonsense because we are attacked from all sides, all day, every day. We attack.
That's a subjective and objective will. Even though our objective is to not be submissive to this information, it's so much of it from so many angles, we can't help but become subject to the bombardment of it.
So then that goes back to groupthink then.
Absolutely.
So we get caught up in groupthink.
Yep.
Hmm.
Instead of us being
Oh,
led by the concept that we say we believe in, that we stand on, we're led by the image of this appearing normal.
hmm. Okay. Being caught up in some sort of madness happens when one lacks a full commitment to our new concepts, teaching that awareness is the product of study and observation of any given situation by not getting caught up in it. And that's what we just said.
Yep.
By not getting caught up in it, we got to become aware of what's going on around us, becoming aware of the new concept, becoming aware of our teachings, becoming aware of the laws and the policies, and being able to live them out,
Regardless of what's going on around us.
regardless of what's going on around us. Because the new concept is what's guiding us. The new concept is what's pointing this stuff out to us. That's that
Absolutely.
awareness. You becoming aware of what you're seeing.
Yep.
Mm.
And that can only come as a product of study and observation, which means you can't just be in the midst of it. You got to look, listen, and learn everything that's going on around you to see if it's conducive to your growth and development or if it's a hindrance to your growth and development.
Okay. Once this is internalized, the more rapidly our present environment will slip away from us, and the more rapidly our potentials will turn into reality. So our present environment will slip away from us. So then it's meaning that our present environment isn't real. Because this is what
Fact.
I'm getting at. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a
Mm-hmm.
rapidly, it's a once this is internalized, we internalized everything that's going on around us. We studying the teachers, becoming aware of it. Once this internalized, the more rapidly our present environment will slip away from us, and the more rapidly our potentials will turn into reality. The potentials that we have that's within us will turn into reality. So now we becoming aware on what's going on around us, and all this potential that we have bottled up in us. Now, because
Mm-hmm.
we following a new concept, all this potential that we have bottled up inside of us will begin to come out, and the reality of who we are and what we really is about is starting to show.
Because we're no longer distracted by the surroundings.
Okay. All right. As our growth and development churns faster, we would not only be pressured to devote more mental resources towards thinking about the future, but also to extend our mental horizons to be able to see basically how much more beautiful, glorious, and peaceful our future will be under the new concept. You know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
The We Pledge. The doctrines of our new concept will be a guiding light that will forever be lit in our hearts and in our minds.
Mm.
Because now it's becoming brighter. It's becoming, you be able to see it. It's moving and you see it and you growing and you developing.
You've internalized it.
You internalize it. You've ate it. It's in you now.
Mm. That way it instills in us dedication, determination, and discipline.
And discipline.
And that discipline is in line with us becoming masters of our own destiny.
And therefore that discipline also goes back to us coming out of a degenerate state of mind. Because now we learn to start having self-discipline. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Self-control. That's the growth and development. That's growth and development, bro. Of course, some individuals may project themselves so far into the future for such long periods of the times that their hopes, dreams, and anticipation may become escapist fantasies. So, it's a, of course, some individual may project themselves so far into the future, you way out there, for such long periods of the times that their hopes, dreams, and anticipations may become escapist fantasies. You get away from the reality of the concept and concept and ideology of organization, and you start going somewhere else. You get out there on the blue ethers.
Yep.
That's what that blue ethers is. You out there in fantasy world, you can't even catch on to what's going on. You lost. Your mental capacity has escaped the realities of what the new concept is about.
Start believing in the mystery.
Yes.
Something that you don't know the process in achieving. Now that carries me back to my point, right? Where in this edition of the Blueprint of a New Concept, right? In the
Yes.
introduction on page 6, it says true freedom is gained. True freedom is not gained by merely getting out of prison. Rather, we must view true freedom as a lifelong struggle for growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, the blueprint of a new concept is about growing and developing towards true freedom. With this in mind, this book was written with the utmost importance of making society aware, involved, and informed of what our struggle is all about. It does not matter if we are behind the walls or on the streets. Our struggle is one of growth and development.
Now, it
Mm-hmm.
says, With this in mind, this book was written with the utmost importance of making society aware, involved, and informed of what
Absolutely.
our struggle is all about. Informing society, letting society know what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now. We are informing society. We're teaching society. We involve in society with what our struggle is all about. We are about growth and development. I'm not hiding it.
Absolutely.
I don't have to hide what I'm about. This is what I'm about. This is what I love. Why do I have to hide what I love and what I'm about? When
Especially
I'm
when it
being
benefits society.
and it's helping society. Me right now, you right now, doing what we're doing right now, teaching society, teaching our men and women throughout society what we are about. Would y'all rather for us to be sitting here teaching and giving back, or us being in our old ways? A lot of people wouldn't like us in our old ways.
Absolutely.
To be in this state of mind, or would you rather for us to be in that past state of mind? You make the decision. All right, bro.
Now, I'm glad you said that because it led to this part in the blueprint of a new concept on page 4 in the introduction. It says, this book, The Blueprint of a New Concept, is written and dedicated to all people who believe in and support all struggle for progress through positive growth and development. That coincides with what you were just saying.
Okay. However, far more common would be those individuals whose anticipation are so thin and short range that they will be continuously surprised and flustered by a change. Even though the awareness level of our organization has not nor will not change overnight, the emergence of the new concept was surprisingly sudden. And for this reason, real mobilization may occur much sooner than our past disorganization might suggest. Ho, 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 ho. It says, however, far more common will be those individuals whose anticipations are so thin, they anticipations are so thin and short ranged, can't not being able to see past being able to see past tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
man,
Only focus on the day with no idea of long range vision.
and they will continuously be surprised and flustered by a change. They will continuously be surprised and flustered because they can't see short range goals. They're not looking further down the road. And then some of them, listen, you got to be in the middle
Mm-hmm.
because you got some that's short ranged. Then you got those that's so far out there in the galaxy that they're not even dealing with reality no more. So you got to be right there in the middle. Right there
The
in
eternal
the middle.
now.
Right. However, be aware that when the system finds out that we have become aware of who we are, and with that awareness, we understand who they are, they will stop at nothing in effort to destroy us. Therefore, our next level of growth and development has to be